Welcome back to 15 Minutes With. Today we are joined by two former UConn teammates, Zach Zaback and Chris Wiatr. They both played together in the mid-2010s. Zach was on the UConn Golf team from 2012 to 2016. Chris from 2011 to 2015. They both recently Monday qualified for PGA Tour events. Guys, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Chris, let's start with you. Last week you played in your first career PGA Tour event, the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship. Take us through the week. Take us through the experience. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was a good week. The result maybe wasn't what I wanted, but I showed up there on Sunday, which is a day early for me. Typically, I'm there at tournaments on Mondays, but yeah, I had a good week of prep. It was there's a lot of distractions and higher stages, bigger levels, but at the core of it, it's just golf. So I felt like I did a good job preparing that week. When I teed it up and felt ready to go. Unfortunately, the putter didn't really cooperate with me for the first two rounds, but I took away a lot of positives from that week. I just haven't tried to hype it up too much. At the end of the day, I know that I'm going to be playing on bigger stages than that. And it's like, you just kind of need to go about it the way you would any other week.
And you can both hop in on this one, but I'll start with you, Chris. You made it through Monday qualifying. What's the feel of those Monday qualifying events? What's the pressure like? What's the mindset when you go into one of those?
Well, you're just trying to get off to a good start. That's kind of always my attitude. I personally think that PGA Tour Monday qualifiers are a little bit easier to get through, just strictly from a numbers perspective. When you're playing a Korn Ferry qualifier, you've got 300 guys for 8 spots versus a much smaller field for a tour qualifier. So, you have to go play a good round. In my case this time, it was not quite as low just because the conditions were difficult. Sometimes you go to a Monday qualifier and, basically every Monday qualifier you go to, if you shoot 5 under, you're basically packing up and going home. So this was a little bit different with the conditions. And, I was happy to get a start. I Monday qualified in the fall for my first Korn Ferry event. So, I know I can take it low in these Mondays when I need to. Just a question of doing it. It's hard. There's a lot of good players, and sometimes you need to get a little lucky or just catch a hot streak.
Zach, you've played in 4 PGA Tour events, most recently the Honda Classic, but your PGA Tour debut came at the Travelers Championship, which happens to be your home course. What was it like to make your debut, not only in your home state, but on your home course?
Oh, it was awesome. It was growing up, it was a tournament that I was very familiar with and gone to a few times as a kid, and getting to play at TPC a lot. You realize what a great tournament Travelers puts on, and kind of the popularity it's gained over the last 5-10 years. It was probably the dream first PGA Tour start, to be honest. I had a lot of support from friends and family, and just being familiar with the course. It was just kind of a dream come true, stepping onto the stage at that point. And like Chris said, the PGA Tour qualifiers are something I think that suits both of our games pretty well. I think we can both take it pretty low and make a lot of birdies, and that's usually what you need to do. And I was able to do that day, and that was probably one of the most fulfilling rounds, just because I lost in a playoff the year before, and just kind of was determined and knew what I had to do. Playing at Ellington Ridge, another home course for UConn, was probably a huge advantage, and just knew what I had to do in that Monday qualifier. And the Travelers was awesome experience. I wish I got off to a better start, but once I settled down, I played pretty well, and it was cool to compete with some of the best players in the world.
Zach, let's talk a little bit about what the professional golf is like. It seems like your month of March sums it up in a lot of ways. You Monday qualified for the Honda Classic, but also lost a 10-for-1 playoff at the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship qualifier on a Tuesday. Then you drove to a minor league golf tour tournament same day, shot the course record, won that event. You successfully qualified and played in a Drive Shack event and won that. Just for people who might not know, take us through what the professional golf life is like. Because most people, they sit and watch the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour week in and week out, but they might not dig down and follow the other tours and what's going on at the various levels of professional golf.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different levels of professional golf. There's obviously PGA Tour and what you see on TV and the big names. But there are so many other tours and different levels of professional golf that is so good. And the skills and talent out there is just unbelievable. Golf has become such a deep sport. Like there's countless guys that should be on the PGA Tour right now, and it's just a matter of breaking through kind of at the right time. Kind of at our level, you kind of just got to go after everything you can. There's not really any holdback, so it's like play mini tour events, try to make money, kind of hone your game, and then try these qualifiers, and hopefully you can have a breakthrough week and kind of vault yourself up there. But it's definitely a process now that, Q School doesn't go straight to the PGA Tour. You got to go through Korn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour Latin America, Mackenzie Tour up in Canada. It's for most guys, it's going to take a few years, and it's a grind. You got to be willing to travel and play some not great courses, and you just kind of got to be able to put your head down and grind it out. And obviously everyone knows golf is a very up and down game, so if you just kind of got to take the highs and lows and kind of peak at the right moments. And yeah, I've been playing some great golf lately. Kind of had a better mindset going into the Monday qualifiers, which I think is huge. Just trying to make as many birdies as possible, and you kind of got to show up, just telling yourself you're going to get through. If you go in there with a bad mindset, you'll be 1 over through 6, and your day will be done pretty quick. I also had some close calls. Would have liked to join Chris there in the Dominican.
Could have saved me some money on the hotel room.
Yeah, it was tough back 9. Chris finished it off really well. Unfortunately, I made a bogey or 2 coming in, but it was tough conditions, like Chris said, and you never know with these qualifiers. Korn Ferry ones, you usually got to shoot like 7, 8 under, but PGA Tour ones, depending on weather, it's more of a limited field, more requirements to get in, and you just never know. I've gotten through it 3 under before, and it's just you can't give up out there, because I remember when I turned pretty low, and there's some low scores through 9, and just guys kept falling back. So it's a grind. You got to keep your head down, and you just got to finish things off.
We're talking with Zach Zaback and Chris Wiatr. They both played in a number of CSJ events as amateur golfers. They were UConn teammates. Let's talk a little bit about your time with well, first let's talk about UConn. There's both of you playing down there. Eric Dietrich is playing down in Florida. What's it like to have a number of former teammates all in the same area chasing the same dream? Zach, I think Eric caddied for you right at the Honda Classic. But Chris, why don't we start with you?
I take a lot of pride in the fact that there's a lot of UConn guys down here. I think, especially when we first got there, I wouldn't necessarily categorize UConn as a golf school. But our coach has done a good job kind of building that program up to be one of the best, certainly one of the best in New England. And, I think when you see your teammates having some success, it motivates you. So that culture of having guys down here that, I always want to beat Zach. Zach always wants to beat me. Eric always it's a constant pushing each other and a desire to get better. It is an individual sport at the end of the day. So while we were all teammates and wanting each other to get better, you still want to beat everyone yourself. And so I think having that motivation to beat your buddies has always been really easy to kind of latch onto just because of how many guys we have.
Yeah, I agree. There, when I would trade nothing for my time at UConn. It was 4 awesome years, and me and Chris had 3 great years together. We were always in the lineup, traveling together, kind of good buds. Kind of doesn't get better than that. And but yeah, it's cool seeing other guys on our team down here, Eric, and now a few other guys, Jimmy Hervel, having some success. And
shout out Jimmy Hervel, got his first win yesterday.
Yeah, he's another stud. But yeah, it's cool because growing up and looking back, UConn's not one of the top golf schools in the country. Like Chris said, we're probably one of the better programs in New England and trending more on the national level lately. Zeno's doing a great job, but I think what you see with us is kind of a steady rise. Like, we were both able to go low in college and had some good rounds, but we were not nearly as consistent and refined as we are now. I would throw up some pretty high scores there. And but yeah, it's cool seeing playing with these guys still down here and kind of all chasing the dream together. And yeah, like Chris said, we always want to beat each other.
So as you guys mentioned, you were teammates for 3 years. I want you guys to tell a story about the other guy from your college years, golf related, a story that stands out about the other person. So Chris, I'll start with you.
I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Me too.
I was a sophomore, and we were playing our home tournament at Ellington Ridge, and Zach was playing as an individual. Now in college golf, you usually play 5 men, but when you host, you get your whole team really should play. So you'll have the other 5 guys that are on your team, and they're not part of the team, but they're playing as individuals. And individuals can still win the individual championship. They're not part of the team, but they're on the opposite side of the golf course and they can win. So I'm out there absolutely grinding, trying to get my first college win against this kid, Dylan Newman. We're kind of going down the stretch of birdie 17 to square it up. And then we finished up on 18, and coach is like, all right, there's going to be a playoff. So we're walking up to the clubhouse, and someone's like, oh, Zaback finished at 6. He's out on like 15. We had finished at 5 under. And I'm like, oh, like, it's done? And he's like, yeah, he won. And I'm like getting ready for this playoff, and this, freshman Zaback just rolls in from the other side of the golf course, steals my trophy. So that was the one tournament that probably ignited the flames for college golf from Zach.
Yeah, I kind of snuck in the back door on that one.
He backdoored me.
I did finish on a great stretch of the golf course, so I think that really helped me. It was like the 4 easiest holes, so I kind of definitely snuck under the radar there, and yeah, didn't really know what was going on, but because I was on a different part of the course. But
Zach, do you have a rebuttal for that?
Yeah, I think it was a few years later, so same event. We're playing at Ellington Ridge, 36-hole day, and we're getting dark. We're trying to finish on 18, and it's just a mess. Like, there's 4 groups on 18. Like, everyone's hitting up. Like, just it's just a mess. I drive it like right. I think Chris is like a group or like 2 groups ahead of me or something, and I'm in the right trees. Like, no one can see me, and like it's just kind of nuts. Like, people are like, hit up,
Pitch black. Chris, like, everyone's
pitch
trying to
black.
There's like 3 groups trying to finish.
And like, I'm like over my ball in the woods. Like, Chris can't see me. And he's like, what are these guys doing? They're not hitting up. And like, he's yelling like, hit up, hit up. And like, just like, I'm like, I'm trying to go. He's like, can't see me. And I just like hit this hybrid, like from the trees. And like, I think I got it up by the green, but it was just like classic college golf. And, another story I had is, since we were usually top guys in the lineup, we didn't have to qualify kind of mid-season a whole lot, because we kind of just earned our way into the tournament. We would always have some pretty good money matches, and usually Chris and I were on opposite sides of that, and neither of us like to lose to each other. And we're playing down here at PGA National, and I think it's me and John Flaherty versus Chris and Cam McKay. And like, it's funny, like, they were coming down the stretch, like getting through the bear trap on 18, and like, I think it's all square, and I make a comment to Cam. I'm like, God, like, I want to win this match. Like, I hate losing to Chris. And I think Chris like gets in the cart with Cam and like says the same thing as we're riding up the hole. And then Chris proceeds to, I forget what happened, but
I use the grandstand.
Oh yeah, Chris, there's grandstands there still from the Honda, and par 5 going for it in 2.
Blasted it into those grandstands.
Blasted it long, and then I think I laid up in the water, hit a great shot. So like, it was like going back and forth on the hole. Like, at one point I was like, oh, okay, we got this. And then Chris proceeds to chip in and make birdie and dashes our hopes of winning the match. And that was just kind of what our money games were like, or little matches during practices and qualifying and stuff. It was a good way to kind of grind and test each other for sure.
And talking about your experiences at UConn Golf, Zach, I know you led the way in a lot of ways on this last year, but the program was almost cut last summer. But you led a fundraising effort to help raise money, save the program. How did that all come about? And Chris, I'm not sure if you were involved, but if you were, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, to be honest, it was a lot of the older guys that had been out for a few years. John Bierkin
really spearheaded that.
Yeah, Dave Tiedemann and Greg Stebbins and all those guys. And I was just lucky to kind of be a part of it and kind of help move it along. I know Chris was as well. Obviously when COVID hit, it was tough times for everybody, and it seemed that golf team was in jeopardy of getting cut for budget reasons. And obviously we wanted to do everything we could to help save the team, as it kind of shaped our lives, and we wanted to give that opportunity to future UConn golfers, and also Coach Pizzino's done great things there. So we wanted to just keep the program alive, and really just kind of got the word out. And UConn golf community and other people really stepped up and helped out with raising some money and some support for the program for the next few years. And it was really led by a few of those older guys. John Bierkin, they worked endlessly for months to get the word out and fundraise. And it was an amazing effort by everyone involved.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the state of Connecticut is historically very poor at running all sorts of budgets, and that extends to the university level. And so, yeah, it was kind of a pickle that we were all in. And, people kept asking me, like, is UConn Golf done? Is UConn Golf done? And honestly, I never for even 1 second thought that we would ever lose that program. I knew that Pizzino and all the guys, John, and, there's a collective uprising, basically. Everyone was really distraught at the idea of that potentially being gone. So I think it was a difficult task to complete, but there was really never any doubt that it would get done.
We're talking with Zach Zaback, Chris Wiatr. They have both played on the PGA Tour. They're former UConn teammates, and they've also played in Connecticut State Golf Association events. So we're going to end this conversation with a couple of questions about their time playing as amateurs on the CSGA. Chris, I'll start with you here. At the time that you qualified for this Connecticut State Open, you were the youngest player to ever do so. You've also had a few near misses in the Connecticut Am. What did you gain from playing in CSGA events?
Well, it was a home for me to play, when I was growing up. Those CSGA events, the Connecticut Open and the Connecticut Am, they meant, and the Palmer Cup at my home course at Waterbury, those were always events that meant a lot to me. The CSGA, they just put on such a great series of events. We played such great golf courses. I remember when I qualified for that Open at Round Hill 07 or 08, I was a kid, and I showed up first round pants because I thought that it was mandatory, but it was like 88 degrees, and I was just I was dying out. I think I was the only person there in pants, and that was a quick intro to that. I think I shot mid 80s that first round at Round Hill. I think I made an 8 or 9 on my first hole. So the Connecticut Open's always been, I think I've played in 7 or 8 of them. I mean, I unfortunately missed last year. I had a scheduling conflict, but ultimately would love to win that tournament. I don't know if I'll be able to play this year, but if I am, I mean, that tournament's always been one that I've wanted to capture.
And Zach, you had a lot of success playing in CSGA events. You won the Connecticut Am twice. You won a Palmer Cup. What did you take away from playing in CSGA events?
They were awesome events, especially kind of amateur years in college during the summer. Always enjoyed playing every single CSGA event. They run very well, and like Chris said, we got to play some pretty sweet courses, and yeah, I was lucky to have some success in the Connecticut Am. Love match play. Just kind of kicks me into a different gear. I think it was just in the Palmer Cup, that was nice to get that done. I was close a few years before that, and I think it was just really good to kind of build my confidence and kind of hone my skills, competing on, kind of a regional level and state level. I think going into, I stayed amateur after my senior year and had a little success, and I think in those CSGA events, and I think that kind of propelled me to the pro level with some confidence. And I'd like to, haven't played the Connecticut Open in a few years just because other tournaments have come up and travel, but would definitely like to get back there soon, and if not this summer, down the road, and like to check that one off the list as well.
We're talking with Zach Zaback, Chris Wiatr, both have played on the PGA Tour, UConn teammates. Last one for you guys, and I'll start with Chris. This one is sort of a bit of an advice question. If there's any junior golfers out there aspiring to play professional golf, knowing what you know now after playing college golf, now playing pro golf for a number of years, what would you tell them?
That's a good question. I would tell them to play in as many tournaments as they can, wherever they can, play against people from all over the world, and play on different types of grass, different conditions, windy, altitude, all the stuff that you're going to have to face in pro golf at some point. And sometimes you're thrown into new situations, new grasses, new scenarios that, you've never played in before, and you got to just show up and figure out a way to get it done. So I think, trying to diversify where you play, who you play against. It doesn't matter what the tournament is. If it's a tournament and you got to put a score next to your name, go play it. And then I'd also say to kind of understand the magnitude of this journey. I think it's really easy to get kind of wrapped up in the guys that are the hot stars out of college, most recently, like guys like Colin Morikawa and Matt Wolff and Victor Hovland, those guys, perfect example of guys that kind of dominate the media coverage. And for my year, it was Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. And there's always those can't miss kids, especially coming out of the ACC and the SEC. There's always these kids that, they're always going to be on the radar, and they're always going to get sponsors invites into PGA Tour events. And that might seem unfair, but for every Colin Morikawa and Jordan Spieth and all those hot stars out of college, there's 100 more guys that you've never heard of that are just as good. And so recognizing the depth of professional golf is really important as you kind of take that step, because you're going to go play against people that you've never heard of, and they're going to bash your brains in. And so kind of understanding the enormity of it and how hard it really is a real important piece of it, because I feel like I know plenty of people that have turned professional and tried to play professionally that really didn't understand how much went into it, and what you really had to put into it, because you can't half-ass this thing. And if you are, you're wasting time, because there's a lot of other people out there that are giving it everything they got.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that too. Starting with college, especially kids in Connecticut and New England, and go somewhere that you're going to play right away. It doesn't have to be SEC school, ACC school, that big name golf school. It's UConn is an amazing program. You will develop your skills and learn how to really kind of grind it out. And I think the most important thing, like Chris said, is you got to play in as many tournaments as you can and kind of test yourself against and different levels. And golf is all about getting the ball in the hole. And I think nowadays people fall in love with stats and the golf swing and trying to chase perfect numbers like on TrackMan and stuff like that. And when it comes down to it, you're out there by yourself. You got to get the ball in the hole. And I think you got to have more of that mindset and kind of just go and attack. And you're going to fail in golf. I mean, the amount of times that you fail, and like there's one winner out of 150 guys in a tournament.
That's the fail ratio.
Yeah, it's a long road. It's something that you do have to realize what goes into it. And but at the end of the day, it's a game. You got to have fun out there. It's a privilege to travel the world and try to make it as a golfer for a living. And it's what I'm trying to do more is just enjoy it and have fun. And you get caught up in the results sometimes, and that just doesn't always help. You kind of got to enjoy the journey and kind of find your own path for what works for you. And yeah, college golf is a great time to kind of figure all that out. You're going to play in adverse conditions and have long days, and it's a grind. And I think that does set you up well for the pro game. It's just once you're a pro, it's kind of all on your own. So it is really just awesome what we do, and hopefully can do it for many more years.
Well, they have been Chris Wiatr, Zach Zaback, former UConn teammates, playing professional golf, both recently Monday qualified for PGA Tour events. Guys, congrats on the good start to 2021, and thanks for taking a few minutes to join us on 15 Minutes With, and hopefully a lot of good golf to come over the next 9 months of the year.
Great, Sam. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Sam.
They have been Chris Wiatr, Zach Zaback. I've been your host, Sam Dostler. This has been 15 Minutes With.